I think you should be in your legal right to shoot them if they're just in costume looking creepy.
That might be a tough
just
one.
with a paintball gun, though.
All right. And we are live. Hey, folks. Today, I'm here with an awesome guest who knows way more about beer than me. And that's because she happens to be the co-owner of CraftHaus, a local brewery here in Las Vegas that, in my opinion, makes the best beer in Las Vegas. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Wyndee Forrest.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, my name's Stu Hawk, and this is my podcast about all the weird, crazy, spooky things that scare me and my guests, and the one thing that helps us forget all about them. Ladies and gentlemen, beer freaks. Dun, dun, dun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. We're actually on location today. We are at the brewery. So
in a very small office.
in an office, but I can see, the kegs of beer out there, which is exciting, and I feel like it just really helps with the passion for the show.
Okay.
It's good.
It's authentic.
Good. It's very authentic. And it gets me out of my garage, which is my podcasting booth. So thanks again for having me. We'll get into the fear part, because I think your fear is a really good one. I think people are almost universally afraid of what you're afraid of.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty scared of everything across the board and anything that has to do with Halloween or horror movies or even like intense suspense. But my biggest fear, and ever since childhood, has been clowns.
Oh my God. Clowns are terrible. Clowns are the worst.
Remember, we used to have the clown museum right up the street from the brewery.
I'm very thankful that I was not around for that.
You weren't.
I think we probably moved here like shortly after it closed.
I never went.
But I heard
Big
about
shocker.
it. Yeah, I trust me, I would not have. But you know what? Because I work for FLM, and you are also down sort of in this same district.
Yeah.
Apparently, there used to be like a factory tour that would go from like FLM.
Yep.
To like the ocean spray factory that was over here.
And then to the clown.
And then to the clown one,
Yes.
which I hear it burned down at some point or something like that, which seems awfully suspicious. Yeah, for a clown factory.
Yeah.
Like one of those clowns definitely came to life
Oh, for sure.
and torched the place.
They all did.
Yeah, that's
Not just one.
So it's probably on the loose out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully not in Vegas anymore.
No.
Maybe it made its way to the coast. I don't know.
That would be good.
I certainly hope so.
Far away from the brewery.
That's terrifying. Like, why in God's name would anyone want to have a clown factory?
I don't know.
That just seems like a bad idea.
That's the name of a next horror film. Clown Factory.
Clown Factory.
Yep.
You know what? And I just realized, by the way, I told you to put your phones on airplane mode, and I'm getting a call. So I need to put mine on airplane mode, because otherwise we're going to get like spikes of audio and it's going to sound awful. So here's some fun dead air while I turn my... There we go. Airplane mode. One down. Now the work phone.
Well, it was Poltergeist that took me over the edge with my clown fear. What is the fear of clowns called? There is a certain phobia.
There's a phobia, I think, for everything, but I don't know.
We have to look that up.
We're going to have to look that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. Because have you ever heard of the fear of holes?
No.
That was
like falling in like a giant hole?
No, it's this really creepy thing, and oh God, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's like when holes are like grouped really close together, there's tryptophobia. That's what it is. Tryptophobia. That was like the fear of 2018. Everyone had this tryptophobia fear, which was like really closely grouped holes, which seems so odd. But then when you look at these things, and there's pictures online, if you look up tryptophobia online, like you can see it just looks bizarre. It looks like something where like spider eggs would be sitting in there or something. I think that's where it comes from. It's like, what could be living in those?
Yeah.
And
and then you think about sticking your hand in it and something grabbing you.
Yeah, like maybe a clown is sitting in one of those. So you're combining phobias now, which is awful.
My brother was scuba diving, and he put his hand in a rock hole, and a Moray eel bit his finger.
Oh my God. Like, I grew up in San Diego, so I love the ocean, but like, I would never do that. I would like, I don't mess around with things that are in the ocean. I stay on the surfboard and like, I try to, as much as possible, not to go below the surface.
That's when you get eaten, when you're on the surfboard.
Well, that's true. Cause you look like a seal.
Yeah.
That's what they say. They think you look like a seal.
Yeah.
And, but you just paddle. You paddle really fast. You try to get away from the shark.
You can't out paddle a shark.
No, that's probably true. I paddle pretty fast, but I don't know. Yeah, not that fast.
No.
Okay, so we're going to talk today about your fear of clowns.
Okay.
Maybe we can resolve your issue. Or maybe your homework will be to go watch it.
No.
Have you seen it?
Of course not.
Oh my God. So there's the old one, which
Yeah.
I think is actually kind of comedic nowadays. When you look at like back, it's like, I think it was in the 80s.
Okay.
And it just looks kind of funny because, you know, technology has progressed and video quality, but like the new that scared me. It was pretty good. I think you may need to watch it.
I can't do it. And then when everybody started to just show up at parks, remember last year? And they would just sit there in a clown costume and they'd creep everybody out.
Yeah.
But they weren't like breaking the law.
It's like a prank.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's a good way to get shot.
I think that probably one of them had to have gotten shot at some point. Like, because if you see something like that, you have just got to be like, did I just enter a Stephen King film?
Yeah.
Am I living one right now?
Yeah. And you're like, if I run, they're going to chase me.
That would be like the worst part is if it started. I think if they started chasing you, you should be fully within your legal right to shoot them at that point.
Yes.
That seems fair.
I think you should be in your legal right to shoot them if they're just in costume looking creepy. Just with
That might be a tough
just
one.
with a paintball gun, though.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
with a paintball gun.
I think that's fair because then you're just sort of adding to their makeup.
Yes.
You could claim that you're trying to help.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay, so before we continue in and talk a little bit more about the movie It and stuff, we got a couple of beers here, fresh from the brewery.
Yes.
So
best.
can you tell me the one that you poured for me?
Yes. So Stu said he likes anything IPA. So we are on the tail end and enjoying a good run of our New England IPA called Dry Heat, because in Las Vegas, when it's 149 degrees, it's not hot because it's a dry heat.
Right. All my Chicago friends like to say that all the time.
Yeah. Like if you put your head in the oven, it's still hot.
Yeah.
Whether it's dry or not.
It's a dry heat, though.
It's hot.
You should be fine.
Yeah. So it's super juicy.
It is. It's
tropical and orange peel notes for the hops in there.
It's got the great hazy look.
Yeah.
Like it's very thick. You can't, it's not transparent. It just tells you that this is a flavorful, awesome beer.
Yes.
Which I would concur. It's
thank you.
very good. It's very good. I just wanted to, I know I told you this before the show, and I think I've actually told you this before. The Avo Toast that you guys launched this year, which apparently you just won an award for.
It's a major award.
That beer is so good. I kid you not. I think I've given you a shout out on the podcast to all three of my listeners, probably like 5 times, because I think that is the best beer I've had in 2019.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So Avo Toast is kind of a recreation of like a deconstructed avocado toast. So what our brewers did is they got avocado blossom honey from Carlsbad. We used 55 pounds of it.
Carlsbad, San Diego?
Yes.
Oh, right on.
Yep. Because that's where the avocado groves are.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So we use the avocado blossom honey, and then the malt bill is made to mimic toasted bread. So it's nice and malty and dark red in color. And then we used Tella cherry peppercorn, so it's like the pepper on top of your avo toast.
Okay.
But it doesn't taste like avocados. Everybody's like,
no.
I don't pick up avocado. I
Right.
said, you shouldn't. There's no avocados in it.
I was guilty of that. When I first opened it, I was like, is this really going to taste like avocado toast? And quickly realized definitely not.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that it is incredible.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You don't want to put avocados in your beer because there's the lipids, the fats. It'll just kill all head retention.
So what would that do to it? Like if you...
It would make it flat and oily.
Oh, so you wouldn't get the like nice foamy like effervescence
No.
of a good
You would
beer.
not get a good cap of foam on top of your beer.
Okay.
It would just be... You would actually see lipids
Yeah.
floating, like an oil slick.
Probably would
on
not
top
be
of it.
not appetizing.
And like I can eat avocados for the rest of my life, like to sustain me. There is an avocado festival where there are some breweries that actually make a beer with avocado.
They
and
try.
I've never tried it or tried it out.
I feel like
I'd
it's
be
worth
interested
trying.
to try it.
Yeah.
And then I was looking into, well, what if we use avocado leaves? Well, that turns toxic to humans. So don't use avocado leaves in beer.
And we're back because I am not an audio engineer, believe it or not. And I just wanted to make sure that there was good sound quality because I noticed that I had the wrong effect on. So we're back. But the good news is it gave us a moment to quickly check what the name of the fear of clowns is. And I'm going to let Wyndee try to pronounce this.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's all you.
I think it's coulrophobia.
Yeah.
Coulro and then phobia.
That sounds right.
Okay, we're going to go with it.
I'm going to go with it.
Who's going to correct me? A
No
clown?
one. Yeah, I don't read the comments on my podcast, so I don't care. You know, I'm sure there are people out there right now like, that's not how you pronounce that. Oh
Right.
my God. But yeah, coulrophobia. So you have coulrophobia. That's the worst.
Yes.
That's the thing you're most afraid of. Like if you woke up in the middle of the
Yes.
night and you were walking down the hallway and you saw a clown, that would be the worst thing you could see at the end of the hallway.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, that would be up there for me. But I'm more like ghosts. I don't know. Ghosts freak me out. Yeah.
Well, there are, ghosts that don't torment you, right? They're stuck in the in-between.
Yeah.
Between
maybe they're just looking for help.
and life.
There's a lot of like really bad TV shows about that kind of thing.
Right.
It's like
Ghost.
Yeah. Well, there's ghosts. Yeah, I guess, and it was funny. I did a podcast about Halloween and like the history of Halloween. And I learned a little bit because one of the interesting things is Halloween, in terms of what we celebrate, hasn't really changed over 4,000 years. The name of it's changed. Like it was Samhain, I think originally was a Celtic holiday back like in 2000 BC. And then it became like, with the Roman Catholics taking it over, it became like All Saints Day and All Martyrs Day, and then eventually became Halloween. And then you look at things like Dia de los Muertos. Right. So you got Halloween on the one end and Dia de los Muertos, which I believe also comes from that original sort of trajectory. And the funny thing is yeah, you've got people who look at ghosts in two different ways. Like Dia de los Muertos is a positive thing.
Right. You're honoring and remembering your ancestors.
Exactly. You've got the one night a year where they can cross over if they want, and you can see, your ancestors.
I mean, Disney even made a touchy-feely.
Oh man, have you watched Coco?
Yeah, it's cute.
It's real cute.
Yeah,
I cried at the end when the guitar when he plays the guitar. Oh, it's so sad. But I've watched it now like 100 times because of my son, so it's lost its effect on me.
Is that his fave?
Coco's up there.
Okay.
Actually, PJ Masks.
Okay.
So. He was Catboy for Halloween. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Yeah.
We're into YouTubers now because I have preteens and a 14-year-old.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's that whole YouTube thing is just crazy to me. And
my son has a monetized YouTube channel.
Is he making money on YouTube?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool. What are his videos about?
He is into FNAF. So Five Nights at Freddy's is a super scary video game. It's like if you go into Chuck E. Cheese that went out of business and has been closed for 10 years, and you go in and all of the animatronics come to life and they all like try to kill you.
Oh, are there any clowns in there?
There's one that looks like the creepy baby doll.
Oh yeah. Those are always terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he collects all of the figurines and everything and all the stuffed animals, everything. He needs to get one of every collection.
Okay.
And then they do the blind boxes. So you never know what you have to get. So you have to buy a whole bunch of them.
You got to get all, and we're talking about the physical thing, like not like a digital.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get this and he like does the unboxing and that kind of thing.
And he's usually like one of the first ones on YouTube to show this collection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
Paving the way.
And then he has a pug. We got him a pug for his birthday last year. Because he's been obsessed with pugs. So sometimes the pug gets some
pugs are cool.
Gets some screen time, and then sometimes most of the time it's FNAF.
The pug's gonna be famous.
Well, there already is a really famous pug, and that's why we have a pug now. It's Doug the Pug's fault that we had to get a pug.
Oh, okay.
You know Doug the Pug?
I don't.
Doug the Pug is the most famous Instagrammable pet out there.
So he is an Instagram star.
Yes.
Millions of followers.
Yes.
Probably
YouTube
gets.
channel.
Do you know how much those
His
people get
merch is
paid?
at Claire's boutique, like the kids'
Really?
accessory stuff. Yeah,
Wow, that dog's made it.
he has.
That
He lives
dog.
the life.
That dog's made it, and I'm sitting here with like 3 podcast listeners. It's good. It's good. We all have to have something to strive
Right.
for. I have a friend who looks just like a pug. Shout out to Spencer.
Does he know that you say this about him?
Well, absolutely. We've been calling him a pug since he was like in 4th grade.
Oh.
I've known him since 2nd grade, but we always
Does
call
he
him
always
a pug.
look pitiful?
He looks like his face is really squinched together, and he started growing a goatee at a really early age, and so it was just perfect.
Okay.
But he's a good guy, you know. He just, but maybe he could be a YouTube star
There
or
you
an
go.
Instagram star.
Yeah, because Doug can't talk.
Yeah. So he's already got that
that's
up
the
on
missing
him.
element.
Yeah. Yeah. If he has the look and he can actually form sentences, which I think mostly he can, should be good to go. So, so you also have a beer
I do.
that you're drinking that's different than mine.
Yes.
What did you choose for your? What does the brewer drink?
Well, okay. Clarification: I'm not the brewer.
Okay, fair enough.
You don't want me to brew your beer. Trust me. We have.
But you know
we
what
have
you're talking
professional brewers doing what they
Yes.
do best.
Yes.
We just came out with a new West Coast IPA, and it's we named it Sleeping Forest.
Oh.
Actually,
okay.
Cameron, our head brewer, named it Sleeping Forest, but our last name is Forest
Right.
with 2 R's, and he wanted to name it Sleeping Forest. So I did some research about hops, and hops have been used for hundreds of years to induce sleep and to improve the quality of sleep. So I thought it was very fitting that it
Yeah.
was called Sleeping Forest. So West Coast IPA is kind of the anti hazy IPA. So
Right.
it's very clear. And these hops, West Coast hops, primarily feature notes of pine and grapefruit. So it's definitely pine forward
Okay.
and clear. You can
Yeah.
see through it, not like the hazy.
Yeah.
So it's one of our seasonal IPAs.
Very different look than the beer that I have, obviously. I think one of my my favorite West Coast style IPAs of all time is Green Flash. Have you had the Green Flash West Coast IPA?
Yes.
I love that one.
Yep.
I love that one. But I haven't
They
tried
do a
this
great
one
job.
yet. Yeah.
Okay. You can try it later.
Okay. I'm
Yes.
going to take you up on that.
Yeah. You'll go back to old school. You got to keep it on the West Coast because it's the best coast.
I'm a West Coast guy through and through. I mean, this whole New England thing, don't get me wrong, I do like a New England style, but I
Yeah.
don't like giving them all the credit.
Right.
Yeah. I don't like giving them all the credit.
You can just call it a hazy,
Just a
not
hazy,
a New England
yeah.
IPA.
So is there a difference, by the way, you may know this, is there a difference between New England, hazy, juicy, or is it just all the same, like different ways of saying the same thing?
There is, and so the Brewers Association, they have certain guidelines that they recognize. So one way to taste and judge beer by categories is called the Beer Judge Certification Program, or BJCP for short. So it has all of these nationally recognized beer styles.
Okay.
So the New England IPA / hazy IPA is one category that has now been recognized. And then there's also a separate category that is a juicy IPA category. And I think now they even have a juicy pale and a hazy pale.
Oh, interesting.
So they do have differences, but because the style is still, relatively new and emerging, it is hard to differentiate between hazy and juicy and New England.
Yeah.
A beer can be juicy without being hazy.
Right. Right.
So the way that you get the juiciness into IPAs is in dry hopping. So once the beer has been brewed and it's in fermentation and the tank is cold, then we add hops, and that's called dry hop. So the hops that you add in when fermentation is happening and when the beer is cold, that's all for aroma. So it's what you're going to smell. and it's not going to impart any of the IBUs, any of the bitterness that you're tasting.
Okay. So the dry hopping is going to be potentially slightly less bitter than a wet hop, presumably.
Yeah. Well, and there's not as much. So hops that go into the boil of when or in the first part of brewing, when your wort is boiling, that's when you add bittering hops. So that's what you're going to taste for the bitterness. So there's very, very minimal bittering hops for a New England IPA or a hazy IPA. And all of the hopping is heavily dosed at the very end of fermentation, right before the beer is finished. And then to make it hazy, it's also, I'm not a brewer and I'm not a scientist by any means, but it's how the oils from the hops, the resins, bind with protein particulates, and they stay in suspension.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you're not a brewer, but that sounded perfectly like reasonable to me.
Cameron might correct me tomorrow, but that's the way that I understand it, and not being a biologist or a professional brewer.
Well, it sounded perfect to me.
Okay, good.
And it was well better explained than anything that I would have been able to do.
And a lot of people who claim, oh, I don't like IPAs, they're too bitter. That's because probably what they've tried is maybe a Stone IPA, which is aggressive and primarily a West Coast IPA. And a lot of people who are turned off with hops don't like the pine notes in hops. Yeah. Where if you take something like a New England IPA or a hazy IPA, all of those hops primarily have fruit forward notes, so tropical notes, like you'll get pineapple and mango and papaya, and then you'll get juicy hops, which are notes of citrus, so orange and lemon and grapefruit. So if you have those fruit forward hops that are added in at the end of fermentation, you're just going to get those beautiful fruit and juice and citrus aromas, and not the bitterness from, say, like the pine and West Coast hops, like Centennial and Cascade and Chinook. Those definitely have pine notes.
And there is a big difference. I'll tell you, we my former manager, he went to a different company, but he is not an IPA drinker. His favorite beer is Mick Ultra. I'm just gonna say that because you told me you saw him at a beer tasting a couple of weeks ago, and that surprises me because I don't know like what he's gonna find at a beer taste. I'm throwing him under the bus a little bit right now.
Well, he may not have had any beer. This was last year.
Oh, it was last.
Fall
Okay,
season. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And I like to make fun of him because I'd make fun of him to his face too, because he used to talk about how good Mick Ultra was, and I'm like,
well,
come on,
people
man.
who are drinking that aren't drinking it for flavor; they're drinking it because it's low calorie.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, to his credit, he does enjoy Sierra Nevada. That's like the hoppiest he gets.
Pale ale.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we used to go out for like a happy hour. And I think the first time we ever went out to a happy hour, I had I think a Lagunitas or something like that, which is is very hoppy. Yeah. And he tried it because he hadn't really had a whole lot of IPAs, and the look on his face. I mean, that look when it's just super bitter. So he like swore off of IPAs, but then it was a couple of years ago he had a hazy IPA for the first time.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh my God, I got to tell you about this like new kind of beer." And I actually hadn't heard of New England style IPAs before, and so I tried it. And I was like, "Oh, this is kind of good," because if you're gonna have a few IPAs, it can mess with your palate a little bit. Yeah. Like if you're gonna,
you can have palate exhaustion for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna have a few beers that night, throw in a hazy IPA here and there, it kind of helps
break it up.
Yeah, for sure. So that was sort of my introduction to hazy IPAs, but I do really like this dry heat.
Yes.
I think I did have it before, but you said that maybe was your first batch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the new and improved version 2.0. Cameron did a lot of research, our head brewer, of how to get a great haze, and that goes back to talking about the the hop oils and them emulsifying with proteins. So he nailed it with this New England IPA.
It's really good.
There'll be another one coming out, but it won't be that exact same one. It's gonna be a different one. I think Fluorescent Flamingo is next.
Flamingo.
Implosion Countdown is next.
Implosion Countdown.
Yeah, because that's what we do in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's very Vegas
you go
themed.
and you wait to watch the implosion of our casinos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is the dry heat, is that a seasonal?
Yes. So we now have a line of New England IPAs, and so there's 4 a year. So that's 1 a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Now, of all your beers, seasonal and the standard stock, I'm sure you get this question all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what is your favorite CraftHaus beer?
It always has to be what is my favorite at that moment.
Sure.
And it's
that makes
usually
sense.
whatever
Yeah,
we've
fair.
released that is new.
Mm.
I've really Cameron came to us as our new head brewer a little over a year and a half ago, and we had never had lagers in our portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So he started introducing lagers. And he's done some really interesting lagers, some really clean and crisp lagers. But I really, it was a whole new world that was opened to us.
Yeah.
And so now I've been on Czech Pilsners, and he made a beer. We drank it all, and we're currently out of stock of it.
Oh.
It was a unfiltered Czech Pilsner, and we named it Czech Please.
Czech Please.
Yeah, it's really good because it has a haze
Nice.
to it, but it has a nice crisp hop bite, and it's not overpowering.
Okay.
And then with it using a lager yeast, the lager yeast finishes more mineral, more clean, to kind of just wash your palate clean, so you don't get a heavy malt laying down on your palate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Probably a great beer for summertime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about winter when it's cold out? Does it keep you warm like a nice stout or IPA would?
No.
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 It doesn't give you the jacket. It doesn't give you
No.
the beer jacket.
Well, Comrade always has a special place in our heart for us. And technically this year's Comrade is our Russian Imperial Stout.
Yep.
That we make in collaboration with the Las Vegas distillery, and then we oak age it on whiskey from the Las Vegas distillery. But unfortunately, George passed away about a year ago now. But 2.5 weeks before he passed away, he brought us a barrel, and we had never traditionally barrel aged it before. So we were fortunate to have George bring us over a barrel. So,
oh wow, that was 2 weeks before he passed.
Yeah.
George was an awesome dude too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big, gregarious,
Yes.
like teddy bear.
Oh, the nicest guy.
Yeah.
I still remember, and I mean, I don't think this will get him in trouble or anything like that, but he gave us a tour of his distillery.
Yeah.
And, we work in the world of chocolate, my team. And so we have really, really strict quality standards when you go into the factory.
Right.
I mean, anything that's out of place, I mean, you touch it. If there's any, like a glove's off, you have to throw
Right.
out the whole batch.
Right.
Like it's crazy. But it's consumer protections, and it's chocolate. So when George gave us the tour, he was walking us through his room, and there was this big vat of vodka that was sitting out, and he's just like, "Oh, this is a new vodka we're trying out, and I think it had some sort of flavor to it." And he just sticks his finger in the vodka,
Yeah.
and he like puts it in his mouth and
Yeah.
he tastes it, and he tells us, "Hey, go ahead, give it a try."
Yeah.
And obviously, okay, we're thinking this is vodka, right?
Right.
So it's not like there's any germs that are going to live in this thing.
Right.
But it's like, this is so weird. Like, this is just...
I know. I remember seeing him doing that and thinking, but then it's going to kill anything that's in there or on your finger.
Right. I mean, there's no issue. Like, there's nothing that's going to survive that. But he was such a nice guy. His Transylvania accent was amazing.
He would call it his sexy Texan accent.
He's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
I was so sad to hear of his passing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he made a big impact on this community.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So when they were filling the barrel with Comrade, he goes, whiskey is good and beer is okay, and then he goes, but this is sexy. So we, after George passed, the guys always remembered when he said that, and when it came time to kind of come up with a beer name and the label, the guys told us that story, and we're like, it has to be This Is Sexy. So This Is Sexy was the first officially barrel-aged whiskey barrel-aged version of Comrade, our Russian Imperial Stout.
That is awesome.
So we did an online bottle sale of it, and we sold out in 6 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And it tasted amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a good story. I love like a good product that has a story behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you guys make great beer, but anytime you have a good story to tell, it just, I think, improves the experience when you're trying to, enjoy something.
For sure. I think that's what attracts people to craft beer is the story and the people and the passion behind it.
Yep.
Because with big beer or macro beer, it's always, let's just change the packaging, change
Right.
the packaging, change
Right.
the packaging. You don't know what was the origin, what was the inspiration, how did it come to fruition? You don't
Yep.
know any of that.
Yeah, and you're right. I feel like I've noticed that even more over the last couple of years. Like, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of innovation from the big beer brands.
Right.
And to be totally honest, I try to avoid it as much as possible. The one that like I do succumb to sometimes is probably like Lagunitas.
Right.
But that's only because I went to the brewery a couple of years ago before they got bought by Anheuser-Busch, and I fell in love with the brand.
Heineken.
Oh, is it Heineken
Yeah.
that bought them? Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. Like, it's just, you hate
Of all of the large, national still craft breweries, I was really surprised when they sold to Heineken,
Yeah.
because the owner, he was so vocal about never selling out.
Yeah.
James McGee.
Yeah.
I've seen him speak a few times, and he's very brazen and very brash and pro cannabis supporter.
Yeah.
And doesn't censor himself.
Yeah.
And then to hear when he sold, he was owned 25% by Heineken, and then he sold the rest eventually. But I'll never forget, we were sitting there listening to him talk, and somebody asked him, the would you sell out question.
Yeah.
And he said, I would rather die on payroll than sell out to the man.
And here we are.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, but I mean,
Must have been a great offer.
In the same token, I appreciate that, maybe his business was underwater. Maybe he was dying on payroll, and he did that to save his team members and his employees, their families and their future and their livelihood. So.
Yeah. It's true. Assume positive intent. Like, hey, I wasn't just trying to make a buck here, you know. But it's still, it's unfortunate to see. I still remember back, I don't remember when it happened, but Killian's Irish Red a long time ago was like one of my favorite beers. It was probably the beer that introduced me to beer with flavor.
Okay.
Like, because, college kid,
Yeah.
I was drinking Keystone Light
Yeah.
for the vast majority of my consumption. And then I think one day someone brought Killian's Irish Red, and I was like, whoa, beer can have flavor too? That's crazy. And I felt like it was really good. And then it got bought by, I think, Molson Coors, Miller Coors, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they changed the recipe, but it became like awful. Like, it just, I mean, I don't know what, I haven't had it in years, but it was just,
Well, maybe your palate evolved, though.
it's possible. Yeah. And I thought about that too, because I think after I had Killian's, then I started drinking other beer. So maybe it just changed. Maybe my palate changed, but I assume it's the other guy.
It's always their fault.
It's
not my
always
fault.
their fault. Yeah. That's the society that we live in now. So, okay. I think we need to circle back to clowns.
Okay.
I know you've been dreading this moment.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, but that is the freaks part of the Beer Freaks show.
Got it.
So you said that it started with the Poltergeist movie.
Yes.
Where
Well, I'm a child of the
describe the scene.
80s. Right.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Poltergeist made a big impression on me.
it's a great movie.
Yeah,
I didn't remember
hated
there
it,
being a clown in this.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Because I was scared of everything as a child. I still am. So I think we were in the movie theater, and the scene where it's the storm, and I think it's before he starts counting between the thunderbolt lightnings, the 1001, 1002, 1003. And then, so the room would light up, with the lightning, and he'd look over at the clown. It was a clown doll, like a rag doll, but it was a clown.
Yeah.
I think it was sitting either on the end of his bed or on a rocking chair at the end of his bed.
Yeah.
I totally have the goosebumps
It
telling
sounds
you about
familiar.
this right now.
Yeah.
So then, the room would light up, and he'd look over, and it wouldn't move. And then the lightning would happen again, and then he'd think he would see it move. And then it would go dark, and then he'd look again, and then it's like all of a sudden, like I think it tried to choke him.
I think eventually it
wanna
got to
say,
him.
yeah.
I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I think
at
eventually
this
it got to
point,
him.
like my face was covered and I wasn't watching anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it was funny because you said that you were afraid of clowns before the show, and then you mentioned Poltergeist, and I was like, wait, when in Poltergeist was there a clown? But now that you say that, I remember the scene vaguely, and it's interesting how this, like, there are not many things in American culture that have made as dramatic a shift in the minds of everybody as clowns. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're meant to entertain, and they were meant to be funny, right?
They're meant to be funny.
Yeah.
These ludicrous creatures that, like, they're dressed up, just insanely, and you have, they're just meant to for kids' enjoyment. So why all of a sudden, where did the turn happen that, like, all of a sudden it was like,
it had to have been a movie.
Do you think it was a movie?
What was an early clown movie? Well, I mean,
Poltergeist.
There's Pennywise.
It with Pennywise probably made a huge impact on how people viewed clowns.
Well, and then dolls, right? Dolls are supposed to be happy and give you joy and love. It's supposed to be a playmate and a friend, and now dolls are all creepy.
That's very true. It's almost like all things that are meant to be sweet. So, like, you ever notice, like, almost every horror film in the trailer has, like, kids singing, like, a nursery rhyme, like, really creepily. Yeah. That's like every horror film trailer there is now. So it's like, I don't know, maybe it's just playing on these things that we're supposed to be disarmed by, like, that we're not
innocent.
Yeah, innocence, and something that you shouldn't have to worry about being, I don't know, afraid of. And that's when they get you.
Right.
Like, it's like
when you least expect it.
When you're at this child's birthday, and then all of a sudden the clown just freaks out and has this meltdown. So I'm curious, and this is just totally off the cuff. So, like, Chucky, right? He's not a clown.
No, he's a doll.
He's a doll.
Yeah.
Right? But he kind of looks sort of clownish. Like, he's got the, like, crazy red hair.
Okay.
But that doesn't scare you as much as, like, a clown.
Not as much. But I am scared of everything.
Yeah.
And so I've never seen Chucky. Even though
You've never seen Chucky?
No, even though it looks so bad that
It
it's
is.
good and it's comical.
It is. One of the best parts about Chucky is when you watch it, you'll realize
It's
that, like,
campy.
It's so campy.
Yeah.
It's so, like, but it's fun. Like, I put, like, horror films in sort of two different camps. Well, there's probably more than that, but, like, there are the ones that are, like, actually scary.
Right.
Like, I would put, like, The Shining in there. Or Poltergeist. Like, I would put Poltergeist potentially in that one. Or even, like, The Sixth Sense I put in there. And also Hereditary. But I've already talked ad nauseum about the movie Hereditary. I don't know if you've seen that one, but oh my God.
I can't watch any of it. I can't do it.
Don't watch Hereditary.
Okay.
That one, my wife was on a work trip, and so I was home alone with the baby, but he was asleep. And so I'm just like, I watched Hereditary. I didn't sleep that night.
Oh, no.
That was my mistake. But then you've got the other camp, which is, like, horror movies that aren't bad, but they're fun.
Right.
So, like, do you remember the Scream movies back in the 90s? Did you ever watch those?
Bits and pieces.
Okay. Because those were less, like, scary. Like, I wouldn't say they were scary.
Right.
They were just more, like, almost mocking the slasher genre,
Right.
you know? And so, and and they were just interesting and fun. I don't think there were any moments in there where I was like, oh my God, I'm terrified.
Like, I've never watched all the big ones, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah.
like Jason or Freddy. Like, none of those ever. Couldn't do it.
I think you could probably watch the ones that were made in like the 70s and 80s and not be afraid. Because
I don't know.
They're campy. They are scary. Like there are some parts that are, but like they're pretty. You would look back. I watched the Amityville Horror, like the original one.
Yeah.
And like I was laughing, like I was laughing almost the entire time because I'm like, this is so bad.
My son is into the escape rooms.
Oh.
And like the scary escape rooms.
Okay.
He's doing one this weekend. Another one. Last year for his birthday, he wanted to do one, and that was like their first time.
Okay.
So they were all turning 13, like he and his friends. So we tried to find ones that weren't like super like. I said, "You're not going to Saw. I'm not going to allow you to do." Like,
is that the one downtown?
Super scary ones.
The Saw one.
I think so.
Oh boy.
So we found some that were scary enough, and I called ahead, and I'm like, "I have some preteens. Was this okay for them?"
Yeah.
But middle brother went in with big brother.
Okay.
And then when it came to one of the rooms where there was like bodies hanging from the ceiling with nooses around their necks, he's like, "It's time for me to go. I gotta go. I'm out. I gotta go. Like, let me out. Let me out. Let me out."
Yeah.
So he's not
I don't know
doing
about that.
the escape room with Big Brother this year.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understandable. Those are honestly, I have not done it. Have you done one?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
So I'm
can
with you.
I can do mind puzzle ones.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna do scary. No, horror ones.
No, I'm with you because
I would just shut down. I'd be like, "Never mind, I can't do it."
I think I'd turn on everybody in the room. I just like freak out. Like, I'm getting out of here. I'm not taking you with me. Like I think like some of that stuff is meant to be like team building. Like we've talked about doing it with our work team.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't think you're going to want to see me when I feel like stuck in this room.
No.
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
No.
You guys may not want to work with me anymore after this.
Because I'll be like a badger and I will claw your eyes out to get to the door.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. I don't think the escape room is for me. My wife wants to do one too, but I'm just like, I think I would freak out.
I could do like, the mental challenging, the clues, and you have to figure it out, and you have to, search and find. But I can't do suspense, horror. Can't do any of that. No.
I mean, what if they had
That's
like
not
a clown
entertainment
version?
to me.
No.
Somebody should come up with a clown
If
version of an escape room.
people would hate that though. I think
would love
most
it.
people agree with you.
People would love it.
I don't know. I think people agree with you.
Have you been to like Freakling Brothers and all of those?
Yeah, that's true.
Like
People
haunted
do
houses?
people like getting scared, but I think it's like within reason. Like there's the threshold that I think most people are willing to get to. Then you've got the outliers, the people who just want to be like beaten up, basically.
Right.
Like, have you ever seen these like haunted houses?
Yes, that's what I was saying. The Freakling Brothers.
Did you have to like sign a waiver?
I had a beer tender just go, and then like the actors come through and they're like verbally abusing them in line, and then they had to sign these waivers to say that this is a full contact.
Oh my god.
And then she's like, "What did we get into?" And I guess they give you a safe word if you're like, "I'm out," and you. So she's like, she went with her sister and they're going through, and she's like, I'm not comfortable with this situation. And then it gets like more intense and more physical, and then they just start yelling the safe word, and then all the actors like, "Okay, out this way. Follow me."
They just flipped it off like a light switch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so weird. That would be fun if you knew you had the safe word, but like again, I'm with you. Like I'm not doing one with full contact.
No.
Like,
oh well, I'm not doing one period. So
I would do it. I've done some haunted houses that are pretty freaky, but as soon as it comes to like contact, there's a haunted house in Tennessee that's like, I think you win $20,000 if you can finish it.
Oh god.
But no one's ever finished it.
That does not sound like entertainment.
But they actually like tie you up and they'll like throw you in the back of a van and like rough you up. Like, no. I'm not. No. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. Not worth it for me.
You should go to the Haunted Museum, the Zach Baggins.
I want to.
Museum.
I swear every time we drive up to it though, like I don't know if it's closed or if it's just hard to get into, but like we're
That's the
never
mystery
there.
of
Is that
it.
the mystery?
Yes.
Like, is it meant to
Yes.
be? Okay.
You have to be 16 or older.
Okay.
Because like
So my 2-year-old probably
my
shouldn't
oldest, no, your 2-year-old probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
It's more like they're real artifacts, from maybe murder scenes or things that he's picked up on his travels.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So everything has a story, and it's more like your imagination runs with it is probably the scariest thing. They
Right.
take you room to room, and then they tell the stories of the objects in the room.
Okay.
So it's not like super intense. Of course, this is all hearsay because I won't.
You haven't
go.
gone. But
But a
that
friend
doesn't
works
sound
there.
that scary though. Like you could do that one.
It's they just posted like a night vision video of a lady entering a room, and she was pushed from behind by like a spirit.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, so I told you I'm afraid of ghosts.
Yeah.
But I don't truly know if I believe that ghosts exist. However, if they do,
Yes.
I believe that they would be like tied to the like objects where the emotion
Right.
created their
Right.
their
It's
death
like
or
an
whatever
input,
it is.
yeah.
So like if Zach Baggins has like these murder weapons
Yeah.
and these crazy things, like
Yes. Like they are
well-
from actual murders.
that's like where they would be.
I think he tried to buy the Sharon Tate
Oh jeez.
murder house, but no, I think they leveled it. It was like
Mm.
this. It was a house next door. I don't know. It was close to the Manson murder
Okay.
escapade, and I think it had something to do with Sharon Tate. Don't quote me.
Okay. That whole thing is wild too. The other thing that like I think is kind of interesting about the Charles Manson murders is that I guess I don't really understand totally why he got so much notoriety when he never actually killed anyone. I mean, yes, he created this sort of cult
Right.
thing. And they even the cult altogether only killed like a few people.
I think because they were so horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the women was pregnant, right? Like that's
It was Sharon Tate.
Yeah, Sharon Tate. And like so yes, I think there was a horrific part of it. I think it was in Hollywood, right? Which
Yes.
kind of like
Yeah.
so there was a lot of probably influencers who talked about the story a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also like the fact that like he had this big manifesto. He had this like grand plan of like what the world was going to become. And he was very racist too, by the way. Yeah.
You think a man with a swastika on the side of his forehead is racist?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. But his manifesto was insane. Like he had this whole plan for the end of the world. Like the whole helter skelter like war between the race war that he wanted to start. It's
I went
wild.
to Tom Morello last night, and he has this like art immersive interactive very socially and politically fueled show. And one of his shirts that they were selling at the end said, Nazi lives don't matter.
Yes, that is fair.
And then one of the screens that he put up on the stage during one of his songs said, the people who murdered Anne Frank, no, the people who protected and hid Anne Frank were breaking the law, and the people who murdered Anne Frank were following the law.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so it made you think
yeah.
like we need to rise up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? For
We need to be
social
careful.
injustice. Just because it says that, it's right to do this doesn't mean it's morally right
Right.
to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. There's a dangerous line of what's happening. And anytime people are emboldened to be okay with hate groups
Right.
is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
We fought this war a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
The Nazis lost. We were never supposed to bring this back.
No.
And how in God's name in 2018, 2019 are we back to like, are they bad? Are they okay? Like, no, they're bad.
Yeah.
They are bad people.
Yeah.
You can't live your life with hate
No.
unless you hate those people.
Right.
You can hate the haters, but you can't be the original hater.
Right.
I don't know. All right. Well, I mean, do you want to make any like closing statements about clowns, and
Clowns are not good.
clowns are
Scary.
evil.
Even
Clowns are haters too.
Even the happy clowns, still scary. They can
So, like-
turn any moment. Any moment.
Did you ever see Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
No.
See, that one's weird. That
That
one's not,
sounds like
not
super
scary
campy,
at all.
right?
It's so campy. Like
Yeah.
they literally,
Like it sounds like Coneheads.
it's
You know what I mean?
worse. It's so bad. Like it's the worst. It's probably the worst / funniest horror film I've ever seen in my life. Like they literally use circus objects as like their weapons. Like
Okay.
they fire popcorn cannons that kill people. And like I don't know, it's been a few years since I saw it, but it is so bad. You wouldn't be afraid. You'd probably just be
Okay.
annoyed.
All right.
So I'm not even going to recommend it, but if you feel like dipping a toe in the horror clown genre, I'd start there.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
And also, mimes are a close second because they're pretty much clowns.
Mimes are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, mimes are, and they're quiet too. So
Right.
like that's a whole
You can never
other
hear
level.
them approaching.
They're very quiet, and they're very physically adept. Whereas clowns are loud. You'd know that they were coming. Mime could sneak up on you.
It's because they're French.
Damn
You
French.
can't trust those guys.
Can't trust the French. Cannot trust the French. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
welcome.
I hope you guys will be on again. I mean, anytime you want to talk about a new beer you guys got, feel free. Let me know.
For sure.
I work just up the road.
Yes.
So, yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. And hopefully you watch the movie It and get over your fear of clowns.
Not gonna happen.
And this is my podcast. Yeah, this is my podcast. This is my podcast.